Miriam. Welcome to my ramblings, because they really are just straight up ramblings. And so many of you enjoy those. I thought I would just sit down and get one going before I get to the other work that I need to do. We are doing emailed readings for both tarot and astrology. If you would like one of those, the link is down below. It's like $25, 15 minutes. Also, the calendar's open now if you'd like regular readings between me and Heather Botkin. We are going live probably more often starting this weekend, as I'm taking all of my work things here, loading them up in my truck, and heading west to Del Rio again. So very shortly, that schedule that you guys love so much, that'll be there. Also, the Patreon channel link is down below if you'd like to join up with my supporters, $7 a month. And you guys seriously saved my bacon the last year. Okay, enough about me. So I was looking at the chart, as I usually do, and I saw that the nodes and the nodal setup has Mars on the south node right now. If you are being reintroduced to a few things, one of them being a male, a masculine energy. I know that some of you are looking at perhaps who taught you what it is to be a man, and what that, are you the Marlboro man? Because before that guy, it was different. The model man was much, much different. Think 1890s with a top hat on, chivalrous, polite, proper etiquette, right? And then we get just body slammed with this Marlboro man guy. John Wayne sets the scene, right? John Wayne. Did you know his first name was Marion? I just thought I'd throw that into the mix. Let me read these, because Mercury's going to go retrograde on the 17th, and that's 2 days from now. It'll go retrograde until August 5th. We are in the shadow period, and Venus in Gemini will be involved in this retrograde. So, if someone picks up the phone or sends a little text and you haven't heard from this person in a long, long time, I don't know what you're going to do. I know what I'm going to do, but I don't know what you're going to do, okay? In my world, it's called, I think Heather and I have been racing very strongly towards eliminating all of the ancestral karma as quickly as we can. Now, karma means work. And when we're dealing with the ancestral karma, it means looking at your life right now, observing it from an objective standpoint, to say, okay, what am I dealing with right now, because I'm the one that's carrying the code. We may change that name 100 years from now. Who cares? It's that it's here. And if it's in the room, it doesn't matter if it's a person, place, thing, emotion, a thought. It's already here. It's in the room. It exists. It exists. So let me tell you real quick how I've been doing this. I've been going into familysearch.org. I don't use Ancestry, because why pay money when I have familysearch.org, and familysearch.org has way more documents attached to it. I've seen my great-great-great-grandparents' land plot. I've seen, the lists. My grandparents were already here. You could track my ancestry all the way back to 1620, when they began, the ships started coming from England to the Americas, and my family was within that decade that came over. So I'm an original. I was like, looky there. So familysearch.org, and what I've been doing is going to the stories. Sometimes I do deeper research. I go to the current newspapers that were within their area in the county or the province or the state. There was always news kind of going on. And the hilarity of reading news from the 1800s You guys got to check it out. I'm not kidding. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm following storylines and I'm looking at it and kind of going, okay, I can see replicas. And then something will happen. Like a few weeks ago, I called my cousin Steve. I said, hey, cuz, how are you? And he sent me a bunch of family pictures. My grandparents, my great-grandparents. And I already have the story in my head. And he's kind of like weaving in the last little bit that I need to discharge that. I meditate on it. I look at it. I see the repetitions. I choose to accept it. If these things were in my life, I have to consider, they slept somewhere. They ate something. They bought train tickets. The land, like the place that they lived, there was no pavement. It was all dirt. I'm looking at the buildings from those times. I'm thinking of them having horses or wagons. I'm also thinking about, they were blue-collared workers. I think we only had one banker in the family during that time. Blue-collared workers. And in my experience, I've been surrounded by blue-collar workers. I can also see their chart. And I can go to the year and the location. And I'm not saying that I can get their exact birth time, but I can definitely pull up where was the moon, right? Where were the generational planets, right? Excuse me. I don't know why I had a smoothie. That's my fault, sorry. It was really good. So yeah, I'm looking at the generational planets. I'm looking at the day they were born. I'm looking at where the moon was, where Venus was. I don't necessarily need to know the houses, but I can kind of get a better picture of who they were. I have a great-grandfather, maybe a great-great-grandfather, who had Moon, Venus, Mercury. They were all in Aries. And I think it was attached to Pluto in some way back then. I think Pluto might have been in Aries as well. So I can picture this man who's very manly man, right? And everywhere he goes, he just talks people's heads off. Now, that talking thing is very famous in my family. My older brother Brad has it. I have it. Not my little brother, but my dad had it. And now I'm finding out that my grandfather and my great-grandfather and my great-great-grandfather had the gift of gab. Okay? I can see it in the chart. I'm looking at the reflection in the mirror. I'm accepting them for who they are. I'm also looking at their marriages and the quality of that. If there was dominance in some way, controlling, because back then women didn't have banking accounts. We didn't have banking accounts until the 1970s. I don't know if you guys know that. So everything was controlled and managed by the men. That must have been one hell of a world, right? The men have total freedom and total liberty, and the women are just chained to get dragged along. So I'm looking at these things. I'm seeing my own life. I'm doing some comparisons. Sometimes I cry over it because I can feel it, And when the time has come, I say, get out of here and get to work. Because I can feel my relatives showing up. I can. I can feel when my great-grandfather shows up. I can feel his alcoholism. I can also feel that when he got angry, he got really angry. Violent angry. And he could have taken it out on, his wife because of his placements. Charming. And when the time is right and I've accepted my part, those things that mimic me, I decide to discharge. And I go, okay, we're done. Leave. We're done. and it moves it down another notch to my grandfathers, because I know right now I've been working my grandfathers, my mother's dad and my father's dad. And when I look back at how much we've been processing and taking those steps closer and closer to this current time, those of us that have been doing this type of work, we're so close. We are so close. I think on, and I know that not everyone who's watching me is a Christian. I know that. I do watch Christian prophecies though, and I have my favorites. And they're receiving messages that point to September 23rd and September 24th as being the day of the rapture. Now, I know the word says no one's supposed to know the time or day, but I'm cool with a 2-day window. I'm really cool with it, like a 2-day window. And there's a whole, it's a hot mess of information that's out there right now. I think the better portion of it is to hold things lightly in your hands. And that's the way we were supposed to be doing it anyway. A person, place, or thing we're not supposed to grip too tightly on, okay? We're supposed to kind of hold it loosely so that it's malleable, so that it's flexible, so that when change arrives, because it's not if, it's when. We're on Earth. Things are not supposed... Dude, we're going 168,000, I think it's 68,000 miles per hour in a spin right now. Nothing is supposed to be anchored. And, oh no, I can't get too excited, because you know me. We're going to look at volcanoes in a second, and earthquakes, because I just can't resist. All right, let me shut up. All of that. Please continue working your ancestry line if you have not yet begun to pick up the signals around you and the signs. Please become more aware. Wake up. Wake up. When the time for that final stitch is finished, you'll get something. Someone will show up. You'll get a letter in the mail. You'll get a picture. There'll be a message. It'll be very small, maybe even very, very big, but it will alert you that you've done your due diligence and they can close that chapter. Even the Bible says that we are surrounded by a host of witnesses. You and I who are, we have the water placements that allow us to go back and forth from the other side to this side. We can feel them. And when they leave, they're no longer in your spaces anymore. I want to hear about that too. If you have had your relatives and your ancestors from the other side kind of come in, hang out for a little bit, and then kind of go out, probably in the last 1.5 to 2 years, I want to know about it. Leave it in the comments for me, because I'll probably read it. If not, send me an email, because I read them all. I respond to them all. Yeah, let's get into the chart. But before I do that, because Venus is going to be involved, Venus is at like 12 degrees something right now. So Mercury's going to go retrograde. Venus is going to step into the 13th degree, which is one of the special degrees. It's like a halfway mark. And the way that I would describe the 13th degree, if you study Hermetics, then you would know, because Hermetics is like the study of math, but in numbers all the way around the compass bearing, right? And each degree has a very special meaning attached to it. Well, the 13th degree in any sign, for me, this is the first time. I get nervous just thinking about it, because it's the first time that you'll actually have power to do something with this energy. And we're looking at a setup in the astrology chart right now where there's a test going on, and I'll show you the placements for the test. But the test is individualistic because it has to do with an individual dream. And maybe things didn't turn out the way you thought they would. Maybe you're trying again for the second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time. Maybe you're deciding that the box that you've been in is too small, and you're bigger than the box, and you can tell because nothing is coming to you, right? It's one of the signs and the ways we know that we jammed up and made a wrong choice somewhere. We got to go back a few choices to those crossroad places, stand in that spot again and be like, oh, this is where it was that I went off course, make another decision. It has to do with Venus. And so either things are pouring into your life right now, doors are opening, or you're at a perfect standstill and you don't know why. We have to go back a few choices to see where we screwed things up. And Venus will have us do that because we need particular resources, time. Sometimes it is about love, and I do believe that this next Mercury retrograde will include friendships and love. Yes. Friendship, love, siblings. Like any day now, I have like my clock. Tick, tick, tick. I'm just sitting on an egg waiting for one of my siblings to call because they will. They will. Mercury's about to go retrograde. Mars is on the south node. That's a masculine energy, right? And it's squaring Venus over in Gemini. So it's like boys and their toys, girls and our margaritas. I make a badass homemade margarita. Y'all just come on over. Heather's like, I don't know about it. No. I want to hear none of that, Heather. No. I have a big table enough to sit 10. We're going to have margaritas. And we're going to eat stuffed jalapenos. Okay? Because that's the way we do it. All right. This is Gemini, 13th degree. Listen to some of this. It says, a world-famous pianist giving a concert performance. I've been that person. I understand. All right. Helen Gurley Brown, this is her quote. The only thing that separates successful people from the ones who aren't is the willingness to work very, very hard. William James, this is his quote. The deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. Right? William Dean Howells, an acre of performance is worth a whole world of promise. Publius Syrus, I hope I said that right, never promise more than you can perform. Pearl Bailey, this is her quote. It says, with man-made talent, you have to work very hard. With God-given talent, you just touch it up once in a while. That's how I feel. You just touch it up once in a while. I speed off to go take care of the other responsibilities. All right, Jacques Barzun says, there are two kinds of talents, man-made talent and God-given talent. The piano is the social instrument par excellence. Drawing room furniture, a sign of bourgeois prosperity, the most massive of the devices by which the young are tortured in the name of education and the grown-up in the name of entertainment. Oscar Wilde's quote, please do not shoot the pianist. He is doing his best. Right? Keywords, talent. Validations of social standing. Working hard at being special or noticed. Reverence, respect, and patronage of the arts. Feeling attracted to those with creative ability. Music, whether inspiring or tiring. Hands-on creativity. Feeling empowered by ability. That's the 13th degree. Able. You are able to do something finally. Success, practice makes perfect. Singing, playing out front or in the band. Having an adoring public. That's you. Repertoires, concerts, relying on... This is the caution. Now, you're going to get a little of both. So don't look at the caution like it's purely negative. When we're reading the Tarot over on the Patreon channel, I have to remind them, this sounds negative. However, some people are trying to purge, and it would be a positive thing, right? right, the caution says, relying on past success, not putting in the day-to-day practice, the need for applause and acclaim to validate one's existence, inflated egos demanding attention, smugness about being talented, cultured, wealthy, or privileged, prima donnas, cultural rewards for the privileged few, conceit, nerves that can ruin performance. Look, I'm going to tell you this right now. Once upon a long time ago, I was an assistant property manager over 2 commercial rise classy buildings in Houston. One of the doctors, whenever he hired someone, he had these boxes of books in his office, but whenever he hired someone, he would give them this book and he would ask them to read it. He told me that most people don't. I said, you give me that book, I'll read it in a day. So he gives me the book. And it was called A Millionaire's Mind. I studied that book for like 3 weeks straight. Had this huge mirror in my apartment with eyeliner. And I was just scribbling on the mirror because it talked about reprogramming the way that you think. What you focus on, what the focal point of your irises, the eyeballs, are looking at and focusing on, that's the thing that's going to be placed in front of you. And it's going to grow. I think that's why it's a really good time to perhaps think about a dream board for those of you, right? Go to used books places or secondhand selling and just grab a bunch of magazines. Cut them out. Is it childlike? Yes, but childlike play is where we get our inspiration. To put a ribbon in your hair and try to figure out which way it's supposed to look. To stand there in front of the mirror and go, is this really me or is this not really me? And you'd be like, it's not really me, right? Childlike play is how we learn the world, yes, but also learn ourselves. And that's it's part of we're trying to shed everybody else, get down to the core of who you are, and then celebrate it. And then find other people who are willing to celebrate you as you celebrate them. I think that's the whole point for the minute, because we're here. We're supposed to be alive. We are supposed to be living life. Not in a state of, what movie was that? You're either living or you're dying. You guys let me know in the comments. You're either living or you're dying. No, I'm going to live. Living means I have a ton of stories, but also living means that I feel well-rounded. I also feel as if I'm not the only one. There are many other peoples out there, many other cultures. I enjoy the fact that I can move fluidly like a fish, right? Through any neighborhood, through any kind of cultural setting that is not my own. I don't even think I have one. But the mobility has given me really deep connections with people and that strong appreciation for them and me. We're living in the moment, but we're alive and we're living. It's not all about adrenaline rushes. It's about connection and what you're connecting to. The earth, some of you connecting to the earth. I love you guys, right? I'm scared personally to go outside and stand on the grass because here it's an apartment complex and that's all I can think of is a Virgo, right? How many dogs have peed on this grass? How many dogs have taken a poo on this grass? And I'm not taking off my shoes and standing in that. You guys are smoking a special kind of crack because I ain't doing it, you know? However, there are those of you that like to go out and to be in nature and connect. And that's the way that you feel closer to the Almighty. And you're not wrong. That is your way to connect. I know some people who actually connect very well with going to services, whatever those churches, mosques, synagogues. These are folks that have a spiritual gift regarding traditions and rituals. And when they're in the midst of their ritual, they connect. They connect to the Almighty. It's almost like the crown chakra opens to receive. You open full and through. All right, Gemini. Let me go change. Here we go to the screen. And let's get after it. All right, look, you see that over here on the left? Mars, right? Mars has just passed. No, Mars is moving left. Yeah, these two are going to kiss. I think I looked it up, and I think it's July 28th is when Mars is exactly on the South Node in Virgo. It's not necessarily a bad position with this. I like to say that Napoleon had this set up with Mars in Virgo. It has to do with setting this strategy. And we have a square with this red line going over to that Venus placement that I just read to you in Gemini. Appreciation, respect, admiration, yes? A communication that isn't, I don't know, it's like walking gently towards someone or something regarding a particular motivation in a strategic play of some kind. Now, here I gotta back it up. Mercury is in Leo, shining like the sun. A communication that is very happy and childlike and playful, maybe with your best friend, right? Maybe about your best friend. Maybe these are memories connected in your chart to like really good times. And you're remembering. Maybe the memory has been locked up in Taurus because Leo squares Taurus. And I know that a lot of folks from my generation have Chiron in Taurus. That's a thing. Look at this little dotted line going down here to Saturn, right? It is kind of widening. It's very, very wide connection. I would now start saying that Mercury will be connecting with the moon in the North Node so soon. But this has been the test over the last few days. Neptune is involved because I think the internal impulse of excitement and joy from someone you love, right? Maybe you found somebody that you thought about them all these years, but you couldn't find them, and now you did. One of the reasons I'm saying that is because Venus up here in Gemini, Uranus having entered Venus, and there's Priapus. You guys know what Priapus is, right? Tell me you know by now. That's our big D energy, right? Priapus did not have a talent, okay? In mythology, Priapus did not have a talent. Priapus had a very large male member. That was the only facet for Priapus. It talks about abundance, right? You have an abundance of something. And Priapus purposefully would set up these huge parties, lots of food, lots of wine, getting everybody in a very happy mood, right? So he could jump on top of the table, break out his male member, and show everybody, like, dude, look at my boop. That was Priapus. Priapus has like these really happy connections right now with the blue lines towards Pluto, right? Pluto, hey, look at my schlong. Pluto's like, schlong? How do we feel about this? Is this supposed to be like this? Question mark, right? Pluto in a sextile to Saturn and Neptune over here. Hey, dude, have you seen his schlong? Is it supposed to be like that? Like, is that a thing? And Saturn goes, I don't know. Let me look at it. Here's the sun in Cancer, right? Let me look at it. And the sun is going, they could hurt somebody with that if they wanted to. And Pluto says, yeah, but I'm Pluto. And, sometimes you got to bring it. And the sun kind of backs up a little bit, talking to the moon, going, what do you feel? Is this a necessary need? Is it an emotional need? Is it a physical need? Does your body create symptoms in a way where we're lacking? Are you lacking something? Was there a diagnosis that was wrong and we need to correct it? We need this dude to put his schlong back in his pants. What's it gonna take to get this dude to put his schlong back in his pants? Right? I don't even know if that's right or wrong, but it sounds good. So here's the sun talking to the moon. There's a bit of a question. Is this something you can work with? Is it identifying back to Mars, a need, right? Health-wise. There's a lot of people my age now who are stepping into their, they call it a midlife crisis. I call it a Chiron return, right? Where Chiron is looking at you and going, dude, did you fix this wound? Are you okay with it? Or are you still attached to the wound? Have you allowed the wound to integrate into your world in a natural way, right? The Chiron wound, if I tell you the story of Chiron in mythology, Chiron is a centaur who was born brothers with like 3 other centaurs. And the centaurs were very violent and they were rowdy and they'd get rowdy. You know what I'm saying? They'd get rowdy in that sort of way. Austin Powers. Yeah, baby. They'd get drunk. They'd get in, bar brawls. They'd do all of this crap. Chiron was very sensitive, though. For some odd reason, he wasn't like his brothers. Well, one day, one of his brothers gets into a bar brawl, and Chiron can tell they're outnumbered. I need to jump in there because it's my brother. So there's loyalty to this thing. Chiron jumps into the fight, and during the fight, he gets wounded in his side. It's like a wound. And when he goes to try to heal it, it won't close. Had a girlfriend once at Laughlin up in the ground tower. She had an open wound, and they couldn't get it closed. At the same time, my neighbor had an open wound that the doctor wouldn't close until she quit smoking. It was weird, right? Open wound. Watch me do what I'm doing, folks. Open wound. It seems to have been repeated. Where in my life is an open wound? Is there an open wound just kind of hanging out that refuses to be healed? And as soon as I identify it and I pinpoint it and I find it, right? I do what I do best, which is to love it, to be gentle with it. You can't keep ripping off a Band-Aid. You need the wound to heal. You can't cover it with a blanket and call it good. You need the wound to heal. So what do we have to do first? We have to wash it out. That's going to hurt like a bitch. Personally, some people use hydrogen peroxide. I use straight up alcohol because I ain't even going to play. I'm not going to play. My dad used that. I use straight up alcohol. I want all of the bugs dead. Want them all dead. Are you caring for the wound in a way where you're tiptoeing, putting your shirt on really slow so you don't rip it open again? Because the wound needs time to heal. Are you sleeping well? Are you putting yourself to bed so the wound can heal? Even if this is an emotional wound, even if it's a mental wound, right? A mental wound, you found out you did all this work for nothing. In your mind, you'd be like, what do I even do with that? Right? So, Chiron, his wound never heals. And in the pursuit of healing it, he gets into the books and he learns so much stuff about how to heal wounds like this, that in response to that, all of a sudden everybody just starts coming to him, knocking on the door and stuff and saying, hey, Chiron, man, I cut myself. Can you heal? I don't know what to do. Here's Chiron stepping into the space of King of Cups. King of Cups, wise healer, right? The wise healer. And that's the Chiron wound. So now that I've given you that description, go to your natal birth chart, look for where your Chiron is, and find as much information about that location in your chart that you can, okay? It'll open up a world in your mind that when you think about it, it'll make you go, For instance, I have in my chart, Chiron is at 5 degrees something in the 8th house in Taurus. And my theme that I have found is starvation. I know that sounds wicked awful, but it is. It's being starved of food. I grew up hungry. I grew up very hungry. I was always excited to go to a friend's house because I wanted to get in the fridge or their pantry to see if they had any food. I was always hungry when I was young. Starvation. Starvation goes hand in hand with neglect. So neglect is another part of my Chiron. Neglect, starvation, being erased, as if I don't exist. Being erased, which I've transmuted into I'm hiding on purpose. And I seriously have. The more I've read my chart, the more I see the importance of me being in hiding until a certain time. I'm not allowed to come out of the box like Jack in the Box in the way it's gonna, because it's gonna. I remain hidden on purpose. Go into your Chiron. Look at the wound. See how it is affected. Are you starved of finances, right? Are you neglected at home or in a relationship? Is this a place where you have a specific talent and nobody cares? So now you're starved of attention towards a valid talent, you know? Are you starved from appropriate raising? You have a beautiful talent somewhere hidden inside of you. Your parents did not notice you, right? They weren't looking to raise a child, to really observe them in action, to pick up on the special cues that make this child special, right? This child likes cupcakes. This child likes candy. And this child over here, they like potato chips. Every child deserving the eyes of an adult that cares about their selections. Yes? Neglect, open wound, it's a cut. Wow, that was a lot. Let's go back to the chart. Boop. Mercury's going to go retrograde. And whatever this test was that we recently had this past weekend, you guys, there was a part of it. Here's another concern of mine. This asteroid is called Salacia. It's 120347. Again, that's 120347. Salacia. It would mean something that is salacious, worth your saliva. We can salivate over this. Is it a piece of good news? Is it a piece of bacon? Hope it's bacon. God. Somebody's asking right now, I can feel it. Somebody's asking, what about Saturn and Neptune in retrograde? You are correct, sir or ma'am, because I can feel you asking the question. The test here is a spiritual test, but I think it has to do with authenticity. And one of the reasons for the authenticity is that Virgo is over here, and if you lie to a Virgo, they're going to be so mad they're never ever going to talk to you again. Period. It's very black and white. The decision needs to be black and white. And notice that Aries ruler is sitting over here as well. This past weekend, a whole bunch of people got tested on a glorious, beautiful, exciting idea, right? Mercury, this is our thoughts. This is where our brain's at in Leo. Oh, I remember what it was like to have sex with that person. Oh, I remember what it was like to climb trees as a kid. Me, personally, oh, I remember what it was like jumping off bridges at 10 years old and falling to my whatever detriment into a river, floating down with alligators and moccasins, water moccasins, by myself. Mind you, my parents had no clue where the F I was, but this is memories, about childhood things. Thinking about games, thinking about playing, thinking about vacations. And in response, look at the 15 degree of Mercury. I'm going to jump over to the sextile, which is here. Venus. That's why I think one of my siblings is going to call. I swear to, dude, if one of my siblings calls, I'm going to put it on YouTube, on the real world YouTube. I'll show you guys. Be like, boom. See, I told you one of my siblings is going to call. That's a sextile, which means it's a tool to aid and assist us with something going on in Capricorn. Capricorn, of course, is the place of Saturn. Saturn squaring the opposition point to the sun fairly soon. Oh, you know what the other piece I wanted to show you? Okay, so let's go to asteroid 443. It's called Photographica. Photographica. This is an actual, it can be a salacious video. It can be a salacious picture. Something very salacious could be coming out. It's a trine position to the fire signs. We may see a celebrity come out with something hidden and everybody go, oh, everybody's fighting about the Epstein list right now. I'm just fighting for dinner. Like, what the F are we going to eat for dinner? My household has been eating sandwiches a lot. I don't know why. Sandwiches. For like the past week. Sandwiches. So now I've got that in front of my face. Where in my family line were sandwiches okay as a relief of hunger? See how the sentence goes for me? It's very simple. You just got to create it. Photographica, Salacia series, an abundance of salacious photographs. Your eyeballs are going to pick something up. You're going to see it. You're going to go, oh my God, here comes the trine position of Mercury. Our brain's going to find it. Could be a piece of information. Notice the 15 degree here in opposition to Pallas. Now, Mercury's going to go retrograde, right? So it's just touching Pallas, just a little. And then Pallas, well, actually, Pallas is in retrograde too. Those two might kiss in an opposition to one another. And if that's the case, then I would go to the square point in Taurus, the square point here, and then Scorpio. And here we have Juno. She is the wife of Zeus. She's the wife of Zeus. She tends the hearth. She sets the table. She puts all the food on the table before Priapus can jump on the table. This is Priapus, for real. Juno, she sets the table. She stands out on the porch and rings the bell. Says, hey, it's supper time, right? She will go to find those people that are missing from the table, because that's how she is. She'd be like, man, I went and cooked this entire meal. There ain't no way that you're just going to sleep out there and miss dinner. Get your ass in there and eat some dinner. You're not going to offend me like that. Period. Oh, okay, I'm going to wash all the towels and you're just going to use a microfiber piece of cloth from your car, from the car wash? Nah, you're not doing that to me. That's kind of what's, oh, see, I got a bell. You're not going to do that to me. Juno will go find, because it's very true, the appreciation part of it. Look, someone may be showing you something they know how to do. A talent of some kind being put in front of your face. If you have not had time to look at those that are talented around you, now might be the time to go show a little appreciation. I was telling somebody on the phone the other day. I was like, dude, I don't even know the last time I got flowers, When I was single, I used to send myself flowers all the time. I don't even know the last time I got flowers. Where's that appreciation for the work? Where's that identification that I see you, right? Leo, whatever the performance is, there is always an audience. And if the audience is missing, Leo will go find an audience, right? This may be a pickup on learning about how to push your own channel further, right? Someone looking at advertising and saying, dude, I suck at advertising. But photographica and salacious means we need to develop a craving for learning about advertising, because I really do suck at it. Everybody's like, how come? How come? I'm like, I have no clue how to do. I do enough, you know? I ain't got room for one more thing. What you want? Jupiter, right? Jupiter is the place of unfolding. Think of a rose that is opening it to its widest position. When there's an obstruction like Saturn, this is like double checking the plant, saying, is the plant going to fit in the space? Do we have room to wiggle? Right? And Cancer is the container. Cancer is always the container. Jupiter is in the container right now. Jupiter's looking at the container, literally, and saying, is this plant going to fit in the pot? You know, do we have enough money for this? Right? Are we in the right location for this? Do we have the right equipment for this? What are we missing? What needs to be added to this mixture so that it works the way that it's supposed to perform? Yeah? So when that ex picks up the phone to give you a ring, a ding-a-ling-a-ringa this weekend, what are you going to say? You're going to say, dude, right, wrong time, right feeling? You're going to say, dude, I always liked you better as a friend than I did a lover because they were awful in bed. Priapus, put that schlongy thing back in its package, right? Priapus is here. I'm going to say it. I'm thinking of Amba here. Were they really that good in bed, though? Were they? But Saturn is up here, and here's the test. Here is the test. And yes, it is that serious. And I'm using sex as like a good example because Mars and Aries, this is instinctual. Instinctual. Without the two front lobes in our brain, we would be like Kai and Iris and Tater. I was telling John this yesterday, right? I said, stop yelling at him, dude. He doesn't have a higher mind position like we do, okay? Number one. Number two, if you could just recognize that this animal doesn't follow logic, this animal follows feelings. Kai wakes up in the morning and he feels like he's alone in his kennel, and I can hear him in the morning going, yes, just like that. He's got Sag on the third. He's very airy. And I'm like, oh my God, this dog. He feels, I want your presence. I want to get out of here. I want to kiss your face. It's a feeling, right? When I go, you want your num-nums? Boom. Instant Mars, he feels Mama's going to give me food. Like that sentence doesn't go through his head or anything. It's just food. The feeling of hunger. That's it. And Mommy's bright, shiny face that is so codependent on her animals. Oh, dude, it's been bad with Kai. It's been bad with Kai. We had to do separation anxiety training this past weekend in front of everyone. I just kept walking around going, he's in love with me. All my dogs are so in love with me. But I can't say that out loud. But it's about the performance. I put in the Leo to that first inconjunct, the quincunx to Capricorn. Leo is always attached to Capricorn. It is about discipline and time, determination to just keep chipping away at it till it, I'm getting a vision of, in my head, the dwarves. It's not Lord of the Rings. The dwarves. I have my virtual reality headset, you guys know. And the home screen page, the room that I'm in, is the Lord of the Rings. I'm inside the mountain of the dwarves. So when I hear the tinging of chipping away, it's learning how to sing while you work. It's learning how to put music on behind you while you work. It's learning how to use work in a mediocrity sort of way. This rhythmic dance, right? Over and over again. We'll do it again. We'll just do it again. We'll do it again. Don't worry, we're going to do it again. I'm here. We'll just do it together. I'm here and I'm watching you. We're just going to do it again. Don't worry, we'll do it again. Learning how to be happy and content in what it takes to groom for the talent so that the performance can be glorious. With Pluto in Aquarius, trust me upon my life. I guess depending on the salacious photograph we got going on here. I personally think, from a positive perspective, if you are a performer with a talent and you're about to get up in front of an audience, Pluto is there. So either the audience has power or you do. It's going to be one or the other. They are either obsessed with you or you will be obsessed with putting something in front of an audience. Pluto ain't going to be kind about that. And look, Pluto is in this connection. It's very, this trine to Venus right now. Is this what I desire? Yes. Give me the information that I need to re-strategize. But with Mars here, please understand the authenticity part of it. If there is any part of you over here that is lying about what the urges that you have inside of yourself, lying that you can continue to do this without a particular, I need something in my cup. My cup is empty. I'm feeling neglectful. There's something that is more powerful than I am attached to me. Is this a need? And yes, I will use sex because so much of Aries and Mars is involved. The instinct that comes is not something that is controlled until we get to Leo. Depending on your Leo placements, you can either push those feelings, right, down and have a good temperance card. Let me think about it. Okay, thanks for the suggestion. I'll get back with you in a couple days if I want to, right? To be able to put the urge, maybe you've been hiding the urge too long. Maybe someone else has had control. Pluto in Aquarius. What I wish to do is to go run off and make love in the back of my truck underneath the stars, right? And this person up here in Cancer is saying, look at my cup. My cup is so empty. What about life? Here's Mercury in Leo. It's all about, what, East Side, West Side? Wasn't that a musical? They're all dancing on cars. Wanting to, okay. No, I need to stop. See? Just give me a second to stop, and I'll just quit rambling. All right, we need to wrap this thing up. I think I'm going to do a part 2 to the current news part right here, because I need to speed drill you guys through all the changes that have been coming up. I have been lumping them and putting them all together, and then what happens is life takes off and I end up denying myself the joy of sharing some of this crazy news, because whatever's in front of your face right now on NBC, ABC, CBC, the DDD, it ain't this. Because you guys know that I'm looking at astrology and I'm looking at the elements. Water, air, earth, fire, and sometimes ether. There have been solar flares, CMEs, solar winds that have been hitting and disrupting our ionosphere. And I got really cool pictures for it too. It disrupts the magnetic fields, and I'm just going to say this, those, on TikTok, and you see everybody in town going, oh my God, what are these sounds? They're such strange sounds. It's the ionosphere. the magnetic poles are fixing to swap. But that's not all. That's not all. I feel like I'm selling you something here. But I'm not. It's real. It's like in the room. If it's in the room, it's real. It's real. All right, I'm going to shut up because I really do need to make a part 2. We're at an hour and 45. So many of you say, Miriam, I could listen to you talking on and on and on forever. Use this as a podcast, okay? Use this one as a podcast. And the next one as a podcast because the current news, I went all red. You guys made me blush. Stop. I love you, and I will see you soon, okay? Love you, bye.